Let's talk about redating planners. I think it's really important to use what you have, and there are many reasons why you might want to redate a planner. If you're on a budget, you might find one on clearance somewhere, but it's a little out of date. Or maybe you have a planner sitting around that you decided not to use and now it's past the dates. Or maybe you only used it for a month or two and decided that the layout wasn't for you. Maybe you're an inconsistent planner or someone who only plans when you're super busy, so you have a planner that has a lot of blank pages throughout the year. Pull those pages out and reuse them. It's also possible that you had a layout that you absolutely loved, but the brand discontinued it. So you searched online and you found one that's out of date. You can still use that just fine. How do I know this? Because I redate planners all the time for my patrons. I make custom planner spreads for my Patreon members every month, and I don't have undated planners for all the layouts that I need. In fact, I've been redating big vertical layouts for years now because I don't have any big vertical undated happy planners. In this video, I'm going to show you unique ways to redate your pages. You can always use date stickers. That is something that is available to you if you buy date sticker books or date sticker sheets. This one has a whole bunch of stickers that you can put over the dates. But if you don't have one of these, you don't want to buy one, and you want to be a little creative, there's lots of ways that you can do this for free. And also, there are ways that you can cover the dates to match your particular planner spread. And today I'm only talking about weekly pages. Of course, if you want to redate a whole planner, you're going to have to redate the monthly. I think that's a little bit easier than the weeklies. So I'm talking like these dates at the top. Now, what I'd recommend is covering up the dates as you go throughout the year. The reason for that is we're going to be able to color coordinate the top of the spread to the rest of the spread. I personally like having color at the top and not just white. And this is a way you can bring that in and create an even more unique spread. So let's start with the basics though, and let's just say you want it black and white at the top. I'm going to talk about that. So let's move these out of the way. I have 3 different layouts to show you today. Most of this is going to be vertical, but I wanted to show you the other layouts because they're going to be a little bit different than the vertical layout. But let's pull this one out. This is an old vertical happy planner from 2024. So we can certainly reuse these pages right now for an example. So like I said, let's first talk about keeping the top black and white if you're someone who's a minimalist or you just like that look. When I'm redating planner spreads for my patrons, I don't redate them for them. I make it blank at the top so that they can write their own dates in or put date stickers on there. So the first thing I always do when I start a planner spread for one of them is white out the dates. This is Tombow mono correction tape. I buy these in bulk. I find it to be the best one out there that I've tried. So you can use this to white them out, or you can always use a white gel pen. This is a 𝘰𝘧𝘧𝘪𝘠𝘀. This is my favorite white gel pen. And when you're using a white gel pen, you just want to sort of trace around the numbers until, and kind of dot around it until you really don't see it anymore. Once it's dry, you can write right on top of that. That will blend into your page a little bit more, but we're going to cover this up, so don't worry about those. So if you're someone who just wants it completely white at the top, you can write directly over that. You can also write directly over that. I wouldn't recommend it because I don't think it's going to look as good. But there are a couple other things that you can do that I do consistently. One of these ways is to use label paper or sticker paper to cut out little squares and place them right over the numbers. Let me get some of that. Usually when I do this, I still white it out beforehand so that you don't see through it, unless you're using label paper that has that gray backing to it. You might still see the number through a little bit, at least with the sticker paper that I have. So this is sticker paper. And it's not going to take a lot of this. This is just a piece of a 8.5 by 11 sheet. So if you happen to have sticker paper around or want to buy it for this purpose, it'll go a long way. So you basically just cut it into a square. It doesn't have to be perfect, and just place it over the number. And then you can write directly on that paper, no problem. So you can go in and just write in your new date there, or put a sticker on it. Now that paper matches really well to this paper, but if you have sticker paper that's a little bit on the cream side or just a tiny bit off, which is what my label paper is, then you can do something different. If you want it to match exactly, you can go into the planner that you have or an old planner, maybe one that's used, but you had like a couple of pages with some blank spaces on them, and you can literally cut out pieces of this paper and glue it right on top. It's going to match exactly. I do that sometimes also if I make a mistake in one of the boxes when I'm writing in it. Sometimes I'll take an old planner. I happen to have a lot of them. You might not. And if you don't, this may not work for you if you don't want to cut a piece out of your own planner. But I will sometimes cut an entire box out and like glue it on top of a mistake because it's the same color as the page. So it's not going to look any different, because sometimes when we glue things on top, it's pretty noticeable. But that, like I said, is pretty good. And I will link my sticker paper that I use in the description box if you're interested. So yeah, you can always take one of these, put it down like right on top of that correction tape, and it's going to look fine. Let me write on top of this one so we can see how it would look. I know I went 12-10. Ignore that. Now let's just write 11. So yeah, it's pretty unnoticeable, but that is a small number. So if you get into like the double digits, you might notice it a little bit more, but that's something you could do. Another option, and staying within the black and white, although now we're getting a little bit more decorative here, is to take a black pen and like make kind of a box. And do that. Okay, we're gonna let that dry for a second, and then I'm gonna write on top of it with a white gel pen, and it's kind of a cool look. And yes, that's still black and white, but it's the opposite. Okay, so it looks like this. See? And you can do that. It's kind of like a cute chalkboard look. You can also use different color gel pens to write on there or acrylic markers. Another option for you, if you want to keep the top black and white, is to use number stamps. So something like these would work well. There's also days of the week stamp. We're obviously going to cover this up too. But yeah, you can absolutely use stamps for the top, and it gives it kind of a cool look. I personally don't stamp that much, so I've never tried that, but it's certainly an option for you. Okay, now we're going to get into what I said before, which is color coordinating the top with the rest of your spread. And I do this all the time. I wish I had examples to show you, but I mail out my spreads, so I don't have them anymore. But I do it constantly. It's really fun, actually. Let's turn the page and talk about that a little bit. While we're talking about markers, let's try this. So something I started doing recently is taking an acrylic marker and doing the same thing as I did with that black pen. And it's even better because acrylic markers are paint pens. So, and I've talked about this a lot on my channel, but the paint sits on top of the paper. So it is not going to bleed through at all. That being said, did that bleed through? No. And that was pretty dark. But this definitely will never bleed through because it's paint. We're going to do the same thing as we did the black pen. We're going to make a little square and we're going to cover it up. Paint pens are opaque, so it's going to cover pretty well. You may need a couple of coats. You may need 2 or 3 coats of each one, but again, it doesn't bleed through, so we're okay. That looks pretty good, so we'll let that dry for a minute. Another thing you can do with these is a circle, if you want like a different look. And you can use the colors of your stickers. So I would recommend making your spread first, because then you can pick the exact color pen that you need. This is a Grabby dual brush pen. I have a whole bunch of acrylic markers. You can go back and watch my acrylic marker video if you're interested to, see the different options you could get. There's tons of other brands too that I did not include in that video, but it was just the ones I have. Let's get another color. So say your spread is like this turquoise color and purple. You can alternate the colors. So say you want all circles. You can do like a purple circle, then a turquoise circle, and then the purple circle again. Or you can pick like 7 different colors of the spread. There are 7 numbers here to cover, so you can kind of do what you want. But you can also do shapes. So if you want to, you can make a heart or a star or anything like that that's easy to draw and cover that up. And then once it's dry, you can write directly on there. It works very well. So let's write on Monday. This is a Tombow mono drawing pen, but any pen will work on these. So let's do, say it's Monday the 2nd, you see, or you can use the white pen, which would show up even a little bit better on the dark acrylic marker, like that. Or you can use a clear date sticker and put it in the middle there. So there's lots of different options here. I think that's a great way to cover them up and have it match your spread, and it looks super cute. I'm just someone who likes the color all around the page, you know? So then you can do the same thing with the month if you need a different month. You can literally just do that if you want, or you can create like a bigger area and write it in, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with this. Actually, let's make it a little bit longer. Let's let that dry for a second. Okay, I have a gel pen here, and I'm just going to write directly on top of that. And I'm going to write, I wrote October, even though I covered up October, but you know what I mean. It's hard to see in that darker color, so I'd either use white or use a lighter color acrylic marker. That was kind of a bad example, but again, you can also make like a larger area. And what I meant to do was kind of right outside the lines, but I didn't do it right. Let me show you what I meant. I'll redo it here. Okay, so say it's actually November. You can write that right in there. You can even take a pen and outline it and make a little box if you want to. I think touches like that make your spread more unique and just cuter in general rather than just having the font that's there. So sometimes I actually redate my pages when the dates are correct, and that's because I wanted to, you know, be a little bit unique and cuter than just the regular typewritten numbers. So then here, this is what I mean. I meant to do something like this and kind of like a messy look. That's an option too. There are plenty of ways you can use acrylic markers. Use your imagination. They are so fun. So yeah, you can write with pens on here. You can also, like I said, put the date stickers on there. You can even stamp right on top of the acrylic marker once it's dry. If you're going to use acrylic markers though, don't use this correction tape before you use the acrylic marker because it's not going to work well on top of this. Okay, let's talk paper. We can cover up these numbers with paper. We can use little paper cutouts from just scrap paper that we have. I think if we're paper crafters, we all have little scraps of paper here and there. Say you had a pink and yellow spread, you can just cut out like, and I don't even, you know, I'm not careful about this. I don't draw at first. I just cut out little squares or rectangles like this. They don't even have to be even. I think it's kind of fun if they're not even, because then each one is a little bit different. So then I just take either a glue stick or a tape runner or something. Let me get a glue stick. So you can put it down like that, but you can also make it like confetti-ish, you know, and tilt them like that, and kind of like even don't center it, you know, and then you could tilt each one in a different way and it makes it really fun. You can use a bunch of different color papers to match your stickers on your spread, or just one color paper at the top. Once that's on there, you can write the dates in any way you want. Again, you can put stickers on, you can stamp, you can write. But the other thing you can do once you write it is you can outline this to make it kind of cute, like this, sort of a doodle look, or you can do like stitching on the outside, Or you could even take another color of pen and like draw a frame around it like this, you know, or white pen or whatever. So again, use your imagination. I think this is really fun. Another option, if you wanted to do something a little bit different, is cut a strip. And I've done this before, not in a while, but once in a while I do this. And you're going to put like the strip all the way across here and here. And that's super fun too. And then in between, you could put little stickers in between the numbers, or you can do little doodles or something. You can also take a bunch of different colors and cut them into the right lengths for the day, like this. And glue them down like this. I mean, obviously make them like the same height and everything, but you can glue them together and make a kind of a color block look. I think that's super fun. And that would work best if you either alternate these two colors or you use all different colors, or, you know, 3 different colors, whatever, but just make sure you alternate them properly. But I think it's so cute, especially when it matches your spread. You can even take patterned paper. It doesn't have to be solid paper, as long as, you know, it's not so busy that you're not able to read the number. But you can definitely do that. Another option with paper is to take your junk mail. And I don't have an example of this because I just thought of this right at this very moment. The reason I thought of it is I am a junk journaler. So I do save like catalogs that come in the mail and all that kind of stuff, junk mail. And you can cut out those numbers. So let's just say that this was a piece, say this like is just a piece of junk mail. Say there's no sticker book here. You can cut out the 4, the 6, and the 2. Okay, as long as they're like the right size, because you don't want to like cut out giant ones or teeny tiny ones, but like that's about the right size. So you cut each individual number out, and then you can get like I've seen people do this for collecting letter stickers. So you can get like one of those art bins that have all of the different like slots. And for numbers, you'd only need 10 slots, right? So you would collect the numbers over time. Obviously, this takes time, right? This is like, this is going above and beyond, but you could collect those numbers over time, and then you can have like a ransom note look at the top, you know, because you can grab like the 2 and the 1. Of course, you're going to need a lot of 2s and 1s. You're going to need a lot of those. But I think that would be really fun to do if you're someone who's into junk journaling, or if you're just someone who likes a whole bunch of DIY stuff, or you're trying to save money, or you don't want to waste anything. I think that's fun too. Another great option for using paper at the top is using brown paper bags. They look like craft paper. It's kind of the same thing. And if you have like one like grocery bag, it's really big, right? How many number squares could you cut out of that? So many. You could sit and watch TV and just cut a whole bunch at one time while you're watching a show. And you're going to have all these tiny little squares. And then you can cover the numbers with them, and then you can stamp on them, or you can write on them, or you could put stickers on them. They also sell these. This is a little bit big. Let's use it and see. I'll show you what I mean. This one's a little large, but they're going to sell smaller ones too, I'm sure, right? I think. And punching it out might be easier, you know, less time, but honestly, because that's like kind of big. You can always do this though, for like a different look, or do this. I don't know. But I think that if you use one paper bag, you would get so many little pieces of paper to cover this up with. And I think it would be so fun to have all of those to just grab, or so useful, I guess, to have those. Another option besides paper is to use washi tape. With washi, you can rip little pieces, which is kind of a fun look, and then put it directly on top of that whiteout, and then you can write right on there. Now, I would suggest using a permanent marker. I don't know if this is permanent or not. No, it's water-based. I would suggest using a really thin Sharpie. I don't have any right here, but you can write directly on top of the washi tape. Plain washi would work really well, or a very subtle pattern. Now let's talk different kinds of stickers, because that's where I have the most fun. So I have some Happy Planner sticker books here. Of course, you can use other kinds of sticker books, or you can use sticker sheets or whatever. I would recommend, if you're doing this, to use the sticker book or the sticker sheet that you're using on the spread up here, because it's going to coordinate so nicely. You don't have to. You can search somewhere else and find it, but I think it's really fun to use those. And this is what I do the majority of the time for my patrons. I'm going to show you the different kinds of stickers we can use up at the top. Let's see. Okay, one option is to use strips. So it's kind of like using washi tape, but it's going to coordinate with your spread, and you can just put this on top and then write directly on there. I know I'm not going in order of numbers at all. Obviously, it's not going to work for, things like this unless maybe you use white pen, but, be aware of your patterns. But still, anything you think is plain enough that you can write on, you can use. Sometimes there's stickers like this that are little circles. Sometimes they're plain, not usually though. But if you have little circle stickers with patterns on them, or maybe little circle header stickers that have like to do written on it or something like that, you can take a white gel pen and you can either do like a circle in the middle. I'm going to do a square, do any shape really, and you're just going to white out that shape or that whatever, or that writing, whatever's on there. You might need to do a couple of coats, I don't know. Then you can take it, this is still wet. You can cover up the dates. Yeah, I can't write on it yet. I just got it on my hands. You can cover up the dates, and then you're going to have like the colors of the stickers at the top, and I would alternate like all of these colors. Basically what I do when I'm making these patron spreads is I make the spread first, and then I have to cover the top somehow. So I usually use stickers, and what I do is just go through the sticker book and see what can I use here. Try to be a little creative about it. Like if you think you can't use it, maybe you can. For example, if you think you're never going to use these box stickers, say you hate them, you don't ever want to use them, well, here's what you can do. You can just cut it up, and you can use it for dates. You can either leave patterns on them, or you can just, use the cream colored part, but then you can write your date on there. And it's going to coordinate with the spread. Let's see what else is in this sticker book. Same thing with these. If you don't have a lot of appointments or meetings, you don't need these. You can cut out the different colors into squares or circles or whatever you want to cut them into, and cover the numbers. I use these sometimes because, let's be honest, do we use these very much? Probably not. So since they always come in the colors of the spread, I'll use them at the top, and I'll show you how in a minute. But I also want to discuss the fact that sometimes there's only 6 of them. In this case, you do have these as well, so I guess I'd probably alternate these. Sometimes you do get 2 pages of these, so you have to be sure that you have 7 before you even start. Usually what I'll do is something like this. So I'll cover that. I'll cut this off. I do that all the time. You can also use these like this if you want to, or you can use them like this. And then it's just a like a rectangle, not the arch. Another thing I do quite often is I use skinny box stickers. Sometimes you get lucky and you see a page like this. This one's kind of fun because it has the color and the little diamond on there, or little sparkle. And what I would probably do with this one, now that I'm looking at it, is just make it smaller. Like I would like cut them in half and put them like that, and then write the number there. I think that's really, really cute, but you could also take them and use them as full boxes like this. And if you want, you could even cover up the day of the week as well, and maybe, you know, kind of take your white pen and try to get rid of the top of it. And then you could write like the full day or just an abbreviation of the day or just like an F and put your number there. If there's a decorative box sticker that you don't like, you could always consider cutting that up for the top. Say you hated this one, you could always like take it and cut out boxes there and write on those and maybe combine it with some like plain colors. Or if you didn't like these, you could cut these into little squares. You have a lot of options, and the thing about that is that everything's going to match and it's going to be the exact colors, because sometimes it's really difficult if you're searching in a whole bunch of different sticker books. Let me get this one. So along the same lines as that, I'll show you something else I do quite often. If I can find one of those stickers, I don't see them in there. Let's look in this one. This isn't my favorite, but sometimes if I can't find other stickers that are either round or shapes or something, I will use regular skinny box stickers. I'll just put one over the date and then write the date right on there. If you think they're too long, you can also cut them down. So you could like cut this in half and do some like sticker surgery on these boxes and make the boxes smaller. So you could either take this and overlap this one right on top or cut this down a little bit more. But let's cut it down a little more actually. Sometimes I'll cut it almost all the way to the edge, because now you're going to have this little part and you can just put it right on there. It's easier with tweezers, but you know, you get the gist. And then, you know, write your number in there. So some of this does require some like sticker surgery, which I think is actually fun. While we're talking, these skinny box stickers, they're great for covering up the month. They almost always work and they're like just the right size. So I use these a lot. I just got a cat hair in there. I use these a lot for this part here for the month. And then you can just like write in your new month right there. Let's keep looking in this sticker book and see what else we can find. Aha! I use these a lot too. And you always get a lot of these flags. So there's a bunch of different colors, all in the colors that coordinate with the sticker book. So usually I'll just take like 7 of these and put them across, you know. Usually I'll take like the lighter colored ones. And they look really cute. They're just a little flag. You could even put them up like this if you wanted to. Or you can cut, you know, the points off and just use it as a little square, like this. Because I know a lot of us don't use those flags, so let's use them. Perfect. So sometimes you can be minimal like this, but you might want to get a little bit more decorative. If I were using this sticker book, I'd probably use these because there's 7 of them and it would work perfectly. And sometimes it will go off the top of the page. So you would just cut the top of this here, and then you can write in your date here. So if I was looking at this sticker book and I was trying to figure out what I would use, I would take a look at these maybe. I would also look at these little stickers, and you know, you really have to decide, are you going to be needing these stickers? Are you going to be wanting to use them for another purpose? You certainly don't want to like take a bunch of stickers that you might want to use someday, but I just think it's worth taking a look at all of the stickers in the book to see what you might want to use for this. Like these you could use, they just look a little bit busy to me, so probably I wouldn't. But there's these flags. They could work. Sometimes they're a little small, but sometimes if a flag is too small or a sticker in general is too small, I still might use it and then like go around the part. Now see, this worked. But say a little part was sticking out like before. Sometimes when you go to cover them, they're not completely covered. And then you just do this and you really don't even see that. So in this sticker book, you can see that I took all of these out. That means I used them for that purpose because I don't think I'd use them otherwise. Yeah, because look, there's one missing on this page. So we have 6 here. One more is 7. So I definitely use these to cover the numbers for a patron. And, you can do it this way or you can do it this way. Whatever you want to do. But I think that's cute. And especially since probably I used some of these boxes in the spread as well, it all matches and it looks really cool. Sometimes you'll find these stickers where part of the top will have a pattern on it or a color, and you can just put them up there and cut them off, or you can go this way even. But yeah, I use these ones a lot. Once in a while you'll get really lucky and you'll find circles like this, but they'll be smaller and they'll fit over the number. It's so satisfying. Or you'll find like little tiny squares. They're great for that. But usually you're not going to find that. But you can still use stuff like this because you can put it on there and chop off the top. Or you can cover the whole thing and write in the day and the date. I would use these and just white out that part at the top or cut that part off. You can cut squares or circles out of these colors if you don't think you're going to use those. I think you get my point. Just cut up your stickers and use them for that. Because let's use our stickers, especially stickers that you might not use otherwise. So there's absolutely more ways that you can cover the dates. Let me know in the comments if you do something different. But those are just some ways that you can make your spread more fun, and you can reuse these pages because we don't want pages to go to waste, not good planner pages, so don't be afraid to reuse them. Let's just quickly look at horizontal and dashboard. If you use a horizontal, you're in luck because these are super easy to cover. The numbers are very small, and what I would do in this case is honestly use a little white gel pen, and you're not even going to see them. I also used it to cover up the notes, but that's another story. You're not even going to see them. And then I would just write your dates in or use those tiny little number stickers. But you could also make it fun and colorful, of course, in this as well. But I think that's the easiest way for the horizontal. And then for the dashboard, unfortunately, I could not find any dashboard planners that weren't undated. I don't have any right now, surprisingly. I can't believe that I don't. But your numbers are going to be a little bit bigger than the horizontal, but not as big as the vertical. So pretty much the vertical tricks that I showed you will work in the dashboard. I think that's where the dates are, right? Unless they're over here. I can't remember now. I can't remember. I think so. Anyway, wherever the dates are, you just cover it up like that. You're going to need a smaller sticker or less paper or whatever, but pretty much the same kind of tricks work for dashboard as well. All right, that is it, you guys. I hope you found this video useful. Let me know in the comments if so, and I would love it. I'm sure there's like tons of other tricks, and I would love to hear what you do to redate planners. And let's redate them, you guys. Let's reuse what we have because we're saving money and we're saving the planet. So I think that's super important. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. I hope you guys have a great day and a wonderful week, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.